Today's lesson is on simplify and combine like terms. Here I have an example, negative 3x, open parentheses, 1 minus 4x, close parentheses, minus 4x squared. When you see parentheses, you will multiply or distribute. So negative 3x times 1, negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 4 gives me positive 12. X times x gives me x squared. And then bring down the negative 4x squared. Note, be very careful when you combine like terms. For example, x plus x is 2x. X times x gives me x squared. One more time, x plus x gives me 2x. X times x gives me x squared. Okay? If I have another x, for example, if I have another x right here, x plus x plus x, 3x. X times x times x gives me x to the third power. Okay, so be very careful, just like what I did here. X times x gives me x squared. Okay, again, when you combine like terms, make sure it is the same letter and same power. Same letter, same power. So here I have x squared, which is the same as this x squared. So 12 subtract 4 gives me 8x squared. Again, when you combine like terms, leave the variable and the power alone. Okay, do not mess around with the letters and the powers. Okay, leave the letters and the power alone. The only thing you're going to add and subtract are the number in front, which is called the coefficient. So 12 subtract 4 gives me 8. Okay, and there's no other x by itself, so bring down the negative 3x. Okay, there's no other term that has x. Okay, so this right here is your answer. However, we want to make it nice and neat. Always write your answer with the biggest power first. So 8x squared is the biggest power down to the smallest power. Again, when you write your answer, make sure it is the biggest power first, and then the next number, and then the next number. In this case, 2 is the biggest power, and then down to 1, and then down to 0, and so on. Okay, so that is the first example. So here's the next example. Same thing, I have parentheses, so distribute and also distribute. So 2 times negative 10, negative 20. N times n is n squared. 2 times 5 is 10, and don't forget the n. Here I have a negative 7. Negative 7 times 6 is negative 42. Negative 7 times negative 10 gives me positive 70n. Okay, now combine like terms. Make sure they have the same letter and same power. Here I have n and a square. However, I don't have n square here. I don't have n square here. So this is the only n square. So leave it alone. Okay, just bring it down. Here I have an n. Here I also have another n. So this letter n and this letter n are the same. Okay, so 10 plus 70 gives me 80. Okay, when you add and subtract like terms, leave the letter alone. Just add the coefficient or the number in front of the letter. So 10 plus 70, 80. This letter n are the same letter, so leave it alone. Next, there's a minus 42. This one doesn't have a letter, but if you look through from left to right, there's no other number without the letter n. So this is the only one, so just bring it straight down. As I said before, make sure you write your answer in biggest power down to the smallest power. Okay, so in this case, 2 is the biggest power down to the first power and down to no letter. Okay, so biggest power, first power, and no letter. Okay, so make sure it is in this format. Next example, same situations. I have parentheses, I have parentheses. Now, if I have no number here, if I have no number in front of this parentheses, then it's always a 1. So again, if I have no number in front of the parentheses, it is always a 1. So imagine that there's a 1 right here. So 1 times 8m squared is back to itself. 1 times negative 3m is negative 3m. Same thing over here. There is no number right here. So imagine that there's a 1. But you have to be careful. There's a negative here. So negative 1 times 5 gives me negative 5. Negative 1 times negative positive 4m squared is negative 4m squared. Again, if there's no number here, it is always a 1. So there's an invisible 1. Same thing here as well. If there's no number, there's always a 1 there. Okay? After that, then combine like terms. Here I have m. Here I also have m. This m has a square. This m has a square. So it is the same term. M squared, m squared. So leave that m squared alone. Now all you have to do is just 8 subtract 4 gives me 4. Okay? Again, m squared, it is the same term. Leave it alone. Just add and subtract the coefficient, which is the number in front of the letter. So 8 subtract 4 gives me 4m squared. Next, there's an m here, but there's no other m. So leave that alone. And same thing here. This number has no letter, but that is the only one. So negative 5 by itself. Okay? So again, write your answer from biggest power down to smallest power down to no letter. Okay? So biggest power, which is 2, and then 1, and then no letter. Okay? So again, make sure it is in this format. And this is the lesson for simplifying and combine like terms.